This is definitely not the video that we thought we would be recording with our brand new baby. This is our second video for YouTube, and it's just not what we thought would be happening.
It's been a little wild. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So let's start from the beginning. We shared the birth story with you guys, so if you want to share that, it was actually, I feel like, such a great part of our journey. We went into the hospital on September 30th. I went in for an induction.
I was there.
You were there.
It was for you.
Mainly because my blood pressure started rising a little bit. I am advanced maternal age. I'm 35. I don't mind sharing that with you guys. Most things were great, but I was just ready. I was ready to be done. So we went in on the 30th. And honestly, the whole birth story as a whole was really special. So she was born 10:30 p.m. on the 1st.
That first 24 hours was awesome. She slept the whole time. Literally was just the perfect angel newborn baby, which is super common. They've gone through a lot coming out and a lot of stress. So she was sleeping, and then that second night hit. And yeah, it was tough for you just breastfeeding with her tongue tie, wasn't able to latch. And so that was kind of a really stressful time. And we really just wanted to get out of the hospital and get everything done.
So we finally got home on the 3rd, and to be honest, looking back at it, that's kind of when I started noticing some things, like subconsciously, and I think I just wrote it off, initially. The first thing that was kind of more notable was, obviously, we were having issues with feeding and latching. I had cracked nipples at that time, so we were starting to supplement with her. But the other thing that I really started noticing is that she definitely was cold, like getting more cold than normal. I'm a NICU nurse. You guys know this. I've been doing this for 10 years. And I could kind of tell, like, that night when we had her home, I literally actually had to have her live on me to keep her warm. I was doing all the things that you normally would do with an infant. And she was also 7 pounds, 4 ounces. So in my head, I was kind of like, she's on the littler side. I mean, little medium. She's a medium, right? So I didn't really think anything of it.
And the whole time, too, throughout her pregnancy, Sloane baby's heart rate had been a little bit low. And I'm not an expert in this scenario. I know you kind of were thinking about it a little bit. Like, she was literally just kind of steady throughout the whole time, but on the low, like, she was in the fine range where, like, the doctors weren't worried about it, but it was on the lower side of kind of that good baby range. So I was just joking, like, she's an athlete. She's just got an incredible resting heart rate.
Yeah. And
we come to find out that maybe that's not the case.
So then comes fast forward to Friday. Friday, October 4th is 100% the longest and hardest day of our lives.
I seriously think we'll remember this, like, going back. It felt like
the worst.
One of the worst days ever
of our entire lives. So that day we had 2 doctor's appointments ready to go. So we were going to our pediatrician, and then we had actually even booked an ENT appointment for her tongue ties. We get up, we're going, and typical parents who are going to their first pediatrician appointment, we were 14 minutes late to our appointment.
We'll own that.
We will own it. We were late.
We walk in and we're like, hey, we're checking in. Front desk lady, only thing she says immediately is just, you're late. And we were just like, look, we own it. We're sorry. Like, we're literally, here's our clearly, 3-day-old newborn. Like so you're recovering. We're trying to get out of the house. We're literally just hanging by a thread, surviving.
Yeah, literally, like, my vagina's still bleeding. My pelvic floor is in my butthole. I did tear. To be honest, I've never been treated this poorly in a doctor's office in my life. So she goes, so we were like, okay, I'm so sorry, we're late, and new parents, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, well, I have children and I'm never late for my appointments.
Unbelievable. We acquiesced. We were like, okay, no problem. We took the form. She said, hey, sit down, fill out the paperwork. Let me see if the doctor can see you. And so we were like, okay. So we went and sat down, started filling out the paperwork, and they ultimately said, yeah, the doctor can see you. Okay. So, and then we, of course, come to find out, we we had done a lot of research on the specific doctor that we were seeing. So all the reviews of the doctor were great, awesome, no issues there.
Yeah.
But then, of course, after this, we were looking at reviews of just the office, and everybody had problems with the front desk staff. I'm sure it's that same lady.
Like, it was like 1 star or 2 stars, and everyone was like, great doctor group, hate the front desk. Like, I think cannot stand the front desk ladies.
Their overall like rating was like a 2.5 or something, which is pretty bad.
And it's literally because of the front office. Okay. So, honestly, when we go through the appointment, everything was fine. I wouldn't say it was great. Like, I personally left the office being like, okay, cool, we had our daughter assessed. I knew we were never going back.
And we were already kind of debating going back and forth between this pediatrician's office and another one. And we wanted to go with this one because it was a larger office, just thinking like, if we have any questions, like there will always be someone available. Yeah. But not the case.
Very quickly, we realized we do not want to be in more of a corporate office. Go home after that appointment and we feed her. She does great. Like, first of all, like, she's like the best angel baby ever. She's sleeping right over there, having a little moment. We go to our next appointment. Thank God that appointment was much better. That appointment with the auntie, she was so patient, so kind. She basically did the assessment and she did little snips. And then she would take her time and then, okay, let's do it again. She did a full assessment to see if she actually needed it. And she said, literally on admission, she was like, oh, yeah, she definitely has a tongue tie. And that had been consistent with everyone who had seen her. The first nurse who assessed her was like, oh, you got a tongue tie. The pediatrician, you got a tongue tie. The lactation consultant, you got a tongue tie. It was like the most obvious tongue tie you've ever seen in your life.
I don't know what a tongue tie looks like, but I was like, that's not right.
Yeah.
The little tendon under your tongue was literally like at the tip of her tongue. Like she could
not lift her tongue at all.
And it was a great experience. And she was a freaking champ. Cutting her tongue, like shoving stuff in her mouth. She was like, I wouldn't say completely just out, but she did not cry. She didn't do anything. Like it was, I was holding her while they were snipping and it was
so good. And I will say, like, I'm gonna get emotional saying this, but like she's been such an amazing, like, through all of this, she's been so good. She has this energy that she just, she's patient. She will like let you do what you need to do. And I don't know, there's something about her that's very like, she's a good baby. Yeah. She's a really good baby.
And that was a great experience. And honestly, like, instantaneously you notice a difference. Breastfeeding, like bottle feeding, everything.
So yeah, that's when we get home around 3:00, and that's when things really start. So 4:30 rolls around. It is Friday afternoon, and I get this phone call from a number I don't recognize, but I'm answering this because, just in case. Sure enough, I answered the phone call, and this really lovely woman answers. She says, hello, my name is Heather. I'm from the newborn screening program. I'm one of the coordinators, and I'm calling to inform you that your daughter is positive on the newborn screen for one of the diseases that we screen for. And I was kind of like, I've been a NICU nurse now for 10 years. I have been drawing this newborn screen for 10 years and never gave it a second thought. I kind of initially, to be honest, was like, okay, like, she's positive. We'll figure this out on Monday. It's Friday afternoon. And she goes, no, you need to go get this lab drawn today. We need to confirm that this is, in fact, something that she has. And then we also need to order her medications because if it is positive, then she needs to get on medication right away. And I kind of was like, oh shit. Like, I don't know, like my heart started racing all of a sudden. Like a wave of like this whole new layer of having an infant just hit me. And so I said, okay, well, it's Friday afternoon. Where can we go? Thinking like, okay, we're going to go to the pediatrician, or we're going to go somewhere where we're going to get collected. And she goes, well, unfortunately, everything's going to be closed right now. So you guys need to head to the nearest emergency department to have this lab drawn. And I said, wait, let me get this straight. You're telling me that you want me to take a newborn 3-day-old infant into an emergency department where currently there are adults and kids with flu, COVID, RSV, like so many germs and diseases. You want me to take her in there? And she was like, unfortunately, yes, that's our only option right now, and you have to get this done. I knew going into this situation that we were going to be there for a very long time, as we were. We were there for quite a few hours. I will say that the emergency department that we went to was amazing. They really helped us expedite it. There were a few moments where I felt that, thank God I was a healthcare provider and I understood the situation. So I just realized very early on, you just have to really advocate. No one was really helping us navigate this. It was Friday afternoon. We did not have a pediatrician to refer to at that time, which was very stressful because we're also starting a med on a baby who we don't know how the side effects. We don't know the side effects. We don't know if she's going to have any reaction. We don't know if we didn't even know if the dose was right because of how the medication was ordered. So we had to call several times to clarify, is this actually the loading dose? It was kind of a shit show. But there were some very beautiful, amazing people that happened in the process of that. Our nurse who did her intake, Hannah, if you ever see this, she was lovely and very helpful in expediting, making sure that the NICU team came down to help us with the lab draw.
I definitely commend Hannah and the emergency department because they were honest. She's like, we don't really deal with a lot of newborns. Like, I don't know how to do a blood draw on a newborn. And I was like, I appreciate that. And so you were like, can you call the NICU team? And they called the NICU team.
I did pull strings. I pulled strings.
Of course, NICU team was like, we're slammed here. We can't send anybody down.
Initially, they said they weren't going to. And Hannah was kind enough to let them know that I had connections there. And so I just said, hey, can you please send someone down? And I will help them.
We were like, just so, like, I don't think I felt the more stress, like, just like, tense. We were both just like, everything was so tense. We were like, let's try to keep everything clean. Like, don't expose her to anything. Like,
we were wearing masks. We had her covered. I was like, anyone who comes in the room, like, you make sure you got a mask, washing hands. I was like insane about it. Shout out to Lauren, the NICU nurse who came down. I love you. I will forever. You were an angel and helped us expedite this so much.
As stressful and terrible as it was at the time, all in all, the emergency department was great. Like, we weren't there as long as we probably could have been. They were able to get the blood draw, and then we were like, okay, we're getting out of here. Like, we don't need to be here any longer. They said it should take an hour or two to get us the results. We ordered the medication, so they gave us the prescription. You can leave, and we were out of there as quickly as we possibly could. So we leave the emergency department, and this is when I feel like, I think for both of us, was just kind of like the stress of that time lifted, and we were really just thinking like, what does Sloane's life look like? Like, we were now just, we don't know what her diagnosis is yet. We don't know what that means for her. Like, she had to be on medication for her whole life. And so it was just a lot.
There was a couple days there where honestly we were just on pins and needles. And we had relief that we were getting some answers and we had some things going. But again, it was definitely the most stressful time that we've ever been through in our lives.
So we go home and we're obviously researching, like, what the heck is this? And we're just kind of waiting. They say an hour or two to get the results. Of course, 2, 3, 4 hours go by. And we, again, don't have a point of contact. It's just the emergency room doctor is supposed to call us with the results. So I end up calling, and this is probably now 10, 11 at night, calling, getting a hold of the emergency room. Luckily, I didn't even know you could dial through to them.
We've learned a lot about this.
The funny thing is that actually she had called you and left a message, and your phone was on silent or something like that. Yeah. So confirmed that the diagnosis that they found on the newborn screen was in fact correct, and we need to start medicine ASAP. So she had given me a physical piece of paper, a prescription that she wrote, because she tried calling the pharmacy, wasn't going in. So I go to the pharmacy and I'm like, hey, I'm picking up these medications. And they're like, this doesn't exist.
We can't.
And
we
she
can't do this.
initially wrote it for a liquid, which is awesome because she's a newborn baby. Like, how the heck are we supposed to
give a pill,
give pills?
right? Yeah.
So I go there and they say, we don't make this. It doesn't come this way. And I don't have anyone to call at the immediate time. So go home, call back the doctor, and she's like, okay, I could call in the prescription, but it's going to be in pill form, which is what the pharmacy said. This is the only thing that we carry. And again, we none the wiser. We didn't know. We were just like, okay, we'll have to figure it out. So I go back. Of course, they didn't call. They didn't have the order in. And
again.
then I had to call again
It's
back
just
to
a
the
lot.
ED. Then they had to get on the phone with the pharmacy and get the meds in. So we finally get it.
Yeah.
But we have pills, and this is a 7-pound baby who can barely drink liquid.
Right. And so that was a whole saga of a couple days of figuring out, okay, we got to crush the pills and you have to give it to her at the same time every day. The issue with it was we didn't want her to taste it that much because we want to make sure she wanted to take it, but then she's not taking that much volume. And that was the other thing, getting her used to taking a bottle because we had been trying to do mostly breasts. So it was a lot. Okay, so now that we've given you guys the whole saga, we should probably tell you what she is diagnosed with. So Sloane was diagnosed with congenital hypothyroidism. And essentially what that means is there's two things that popped up on the newborn screen. It was her TSH and her T4. Both of those labs were way out of whack. I mean, they were pretty significant. So on her TSH, her thyroid stimulating hormone is what it's called, was really high. If the range, for example, was like 1 to 25, on her initial screen, it was like 395 on the first one. So ridiculously high. Her T4, which is your hormone that's produced by the thyroid gland that's responsible for metabolization, your mood, your body temperature, that was ridiculously low. So we knew initially, okay, something's off. And then when we had the labs drawn and processed, they were even significantly more high and more low, confirming that she has this diagnosis. As you guys are watching this, we still don't have a specialist yet. We have a new pediatrician who we love. This is where you enter Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold, if I ever meet you, or I hope you see this one day, I want to kiss you on the lips. I love this man. So during Arnold Schwarzenegger's governorship, he was the one, he and his legislation are the ones that implemented this updated newborn screening program. What this used to be was, it used to be called the PKU test. Well, essentially PKU is one of the diseases that the newborn screen does test for, but the newborn screen basically tests for 70 to 80 different disease processes that a baby would be born with that you wouldn't know about. So these are metabolic diseases. This is cystic fibrosis, congenital hypothyroidism. There's a whole list of things that these babies can be born with.
And these are things that you can't really test for or find out from all of the prenatal newborn screens or blood tests. So it's stuff that you wouldn't even have any idea about until they're actually born.
Basically, the newborn screening program is a public health program that was implemented. They added in coordinators, they have case managers. It's a very well-run program.
This is the state of California. This wasn't our specific hospital, our specific doctor. Everybody in California, if you get the newborn screen, which you absolutely should because it potentially saved our daughter's life.
Right.
And yeah, every state, as far as we know, has some form of screening,
Yes.
but we don't know, how comprehensive
extensive
it is compared to California's.
Yeah. Essentially what happens is each baby at birth, and this is, I believe, countrywide, every state does this, at between 12 hours of life and usually between 12 and 48 hours, depending on the situation, because some babies do end up in the NICU, have this lab drawn. It gets sent off to the state and processed, and then if it does come back positive, then either the pediatrician is notified, the parents are notified, and then you basically draw the lab to confirm it, to make sure that that is in fact what it is. And then you start either medications, a new diet, you start with specialists and whatnot.
And all in all, which is pretty crazy to say in this day and age of healthcare, which we feel like everything takes forever, from the time that we got the phone call saying that she had this diagnosis to getting labs and having medicine in our hand for her was literally less than 24 hours,
Yeah.
which is, all things considering, awesome.
Yeah.
And we have kind of come to learn that if we didn't find out about this early, obviously her life could have been in danger. And then even finding out about it just 6 weeks later, we found out that at 6 weeks with no treatment, every week that went by can lower her IQ. The fact that we caught it literally on day 2 or 3 and are able to get medication in her by that time is possibly gonna, save her having any issues hopefully down the road.
I'm just so thankful for this program. It's crazy how, and I had this little inkling, something was kind of off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And because of this test, our daughter is gonna live hopefully a very normal and wonderful life. And I just am so thankful for that. Like, we're still learning and we still don't know a lot. As you guys are watching this, we're still, kind of in it. And I was kind of debating on whether we were going to share this yet or not, but I do feel like it's something that I think people should know. More of like a PSA, like you can have the perfect pregnancy, like everything can be great, and something like this happens. And I just felt like the more we know, the better, and the sooner we know, the better. So I'm just so thankful for it. Like there's nothing scarier.
She's a grunter.
She is a grunter. There's nothing scarier than being a new parent and having a child who was diagnosed with something like this. And also sort of being, we were kind of left in the wind for quite a few days. Like we didn't have a pediatrician. I feel so thankful to have a background somewhat in healthcare. But just for anyone who's out there to know, like, first of all, you're not alone in this. Sloanie is going to be a Synthroid girly for the rest of her life, which is totally fine. And we've learned a lot in the process as we've started sharing this with friends and family. I'm so thankful for that.
We've come to find now a lot more people than we thought have thyroid issues. And granted, a lot of people from what we've gathered seems to be more something that is onset later in life or like teenage years. But we're finding out a lot of people that we were talking to are on the same medication. And fortunately, the medication that she's going to be on is been around for a long time, well studied. It's not super expensive.
Yeah, we're very
So all in all, like now that kind of the dust has settled and we've had a little chance to get some more information, we definitely feel a lot better that she's going to live a long, happy, healthy, normal life.
We're so fortunate, in the worst of situations, we're looking a lot of silver linings. Something I will say, which is kind of crazy, is before she was born, I don't know if this is like fate or what happened, but I did a partnership with Stork Masimo, which ended up becoming, honestly, the most helpful, amazing thing. And I'm so thankful for that boot. And it's kind of funny because when I got the boot and started looking at it, it's essentially, it's basically like a Whoop or a Apple Watch for your baby, right? It trends things. And one of the things that it trends is skin temperature. And I remember thinking before she was born, like, why would I need that? Like, I don't need that. Like, she's gonna be fine. And ironically, that's like the one thing that I've been trending the most, along with her heart rate. And it's crazy to see she started her medication, her heart rate and her skin temperature started coming up.
Definitely noticeable.
Yeah, and it's funny, like now she's gonna be a bougie little girl because we ended up getting a towel warmer for after her baths. She is living on little heating pads. We have these really cozy, adorable little heating pads that she sleeps on, and I can monitor her that with her boot. And so it's been like such a blessing. So I'm very thankful for that, but it's like like, thank God for modern medicine and these kinds of things, like testing, because, you know, I mean, it's just scary. It's really scary. It's definitely taking more, I think, out of us, but in a way, like, I think we've handled it really well, like, as parents.
No, I think we've done really well.
Yeah.
And I think for anybody who's a new parent, even if you don't have a baby with a diagnosis, give each other a little bit of grace. Like, there's a lot going on, very sleep deprived, but, like, I don't think I was worried in any way of, like, how we were gonna navigate this, you know, new phase. But I truly, like, we've been awesome to each other, and you know, all in all, it's been tough, but I think we've handled it pretty well. We're a good team. And I'm very, very thankful for you and knowing everything that you do and how awesome of a mom you've been. I love you too. Saturday morning, the day after we've kind of confirmed her diagnosis, we've given her her first dose of medication, which is great. So we're at least feeling like, okay, she's getting something. But it's Saturday, literally nothing's open. We have no idea. We're still Googling, we're calling people. We're just like, where the heck do we go from there? Do we need to see a specialist? On and on and on. So I'm super fortunate, thankful, like one of my best friends, and he was able to connect us with a pediatrician close by to us, who we have come to find out is awesome.
She is literally amazing. Those are things that the silver linings that I was so thankful for. You know, it's like Lauren, the nurse who helped us get the stick. It's like our friends who helped us get the doctor appointment. It's like you just don't realize how important those things are until you're in those moments. We also Monday had her do her first little chiropractor appointment, which a lot of people freak out when they hear that, and I'm like, no, trust me, you guys, it's for her and me in terms of feeding. It was very helpful. She helped us do some oral exercises. She looked at her little alignment, no cracking, no adjustments. It's just little things that they do. Look at her hips and, you know, do some jaw. She's teaching us some jaw and mouth exercises to help from her tongue from reattaching. You know, she was helping me in terms of figuring out lactation and, you know, all those things. So we've had a lot of really great things happen, and overall I'm so thankful for the program that Arnold and his legislation put in place. The newborn screen saved our daughter's life. And again, I could kiss you, Arnold, if you ever see this. So thanks, you.
Arnold.
Thanks, Arnold. We love you.
The Govenator.
They could try and make me hate him. They will never make me hate him. I love him forever.
And then we got in with our pediatrician, who was absolutely incredible.
Night and day difference.
Yeah, it was a smaller office. We did wait a little while, but all that told us was, look, she spends time with her patients, and she did spend 30 minutes with us, something like that. This pediatrician, it's not, I guess, super common to have congenital hypothyroidism as a newborn, but in her practice she had 7 or 8 other patients. So
out of the hundreds or 1,000 patients that she has in the practice, she has 7.
So she's familiar with it, gave us so much peace of mind. So we actually got a game plan. So essentially we're going to do her medicine for 2 weeks. And thank you to our doctor too, because she was even like, it's absolutely insane that you guys have pills for a newborn baby. So we did have to call, and she did all the legwork. She did everything. There's a compounding pharmacy that was able to make the medicine in liquid form, and it's literally been night and day giving it to her.
We went from giving it to her medication over 30 minutes in the morning to literally 30 seconds.
Yeah, it's like a 1 ml syringe. She actually is pretty, we give it to her right when she's really hungry, so she'll just suck it right down, and it's been game changing.
This is a part of our daughter that I'm like, we're so fortunate because she's such a good baby. She's really such a good baby. I've had a lot of babies in my day. She's just so patient and kind and sweet. She's just such a good girl.
She's a great baby.
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what we've been going through for the past 10 days.
It's been quite a lot, and I think we were in some pretty dark times, the unknown, just what is our life, what's our daughter's life going to look like. And I would say we're not like out of the woods by any means, but I think we're on the other side of it mentally at least. Like we're at least able to say like, we're glad we caught it. She's going to be okay. Her life's going to look different in the sense of she's going to have to go to a lot of doctor's appointments. She's going to have to get her blood levels, to get her hormone levels checked probably on a regular basis for probably the rest of her life. But all in all, it could be a lot worse.
She is going to have scans and follow-ups. But I will say this, you know, the interesting part is pretty much anyone who has hypothyroidism is like interesting because they're basically like, she's just going to know her body really well. And she's going to know when she doesn't feel good or when she feels off, and she's just going to have to communicate that, and she's going to be really in tune with her body. So for now, we are doing that for her. You know, if she's feeling cooler or she's looking a little more tired, you know, we're just in tune with it.
So from now, she's going to be on the medicine for 2 weeks. We're going to take her back, get her blood drawn, see where her levels are at. And then we're going to get scheduled to see a specialist, a pediatric endocrinologist. And that's when we'll find out a lot more. But we at least kind of have like an initial game plan, and we'll obviously keep you guys posted on, you know, how everything goes, and just hopefully, if this can help one other person, then that's what we're, you know, wanted to share. Yeah, and just to share with you guys, you know, the real side of it. We're really thankful to have you guys here with us as we start this vlog journey, and we're gonna bring you guys along with us for the ride. Like, we want to share our story, this side of it, because I think this is just very real, and this is what we're going through. And we're just thankful for you guys for being here. Thank you, everybody. Love you. Make sure to like, subscribe, all the things, and we love you. And Sloane says thank you for being here as well. Thank you.
Last year, I think I was starting to hit that point of burnout with the podcast.